It is so very important, but we'll talk about that coming up. I'm going to be in the kitchen with Unbreakable Bonds Catering. They've got a spread out today that's just absolutely beautiful. We'll talk to them. And also Reckoning Inc. They join me to talk about Black History Month events and the workshops that will be. They're here right now. Their executive director, Dawne Gediman, who is joining me. Dan, good to see you.
Thank you.
And also what is Reckoning Inc.?
I'll go ahead and take it. So we're a nonprofit organization, and we started out specifically as a media company to do a radio documentary series that aired in 2020 about the legacy of slavery in Kentucky, and to try to explain to the public just how slavery was integrated in every way possible into Kentucky, economically, socially, culturally, certainly politically. And in the past year, we've embarked on sort of the second phase of our work, which is to collect as many documents something about their lives. Who were the family members? What did they do during slavery? What did they do after slavery? How did they live? Who did they love? How were their families put together? How were their communities built? And so we're using all sorts of publicly available documents from the census and death records and birth records, but especially records kept by enslavers during slavery. And just in the past year, we have found an incredible resource, and we're putting all of this on our website, reckoninginc.org, and that is a collection of information put together by a man named Charles Lemons, who's a military historian from 12 years throughout Kentucky, and looked for evidence of enslaved people in wills and estate settlements and all sorts of other documents. Now given it to us, and we are publishing it on our website with the help of the Kentucky African American Heritage Commission. So we are excited. So we've published the first of this material on our website, again, reckoninginc.org. And it's just records of enslaved people from Louisville and Jefferson County. So people can search by maybe their family names to see if they know they're from the Louisville area, and see if they can find enslaved people. Also, you can search by enslaver. So you can look at all of the people who enslaved people in Jefferson County.
Okay,
it's a lot.
So my head is swimming. My heart is swimming, and I'm trying not to cry because this overwhelms me. It does. It really, really, really overwhelms me. So you said one thing. You said that the gentleman who is it? Did you start with the is he? What made him do that? That's my first thing. What in God's name made him for 12 years give his time? And then you said he looked in wills and trust, where, help me hold this together, which means that someone took a human being and they were put in somebody's will and trust, yes, as they could be willed over to someone else,
yes,
like a piece of property, like, yes, a horse, cow, or home.
Exactly right.
Okay, I'm
so
just
you'll
trying
read
to
through
keep
these
it together.
wills, which we have been we've been collecting a lot of these wills on our website, and you can see where it says, "I bequeath to my eldest son Richard." The enslaved, they won't say enslaved woman, they say the Negro woman Mary and her children, James, Edward, and Mary. And so it's a horrible thing that this happened.
It's a horrible thing.
However, it provides an opportunity for contemporary African Americans to actually go backwards in time and figure out how they're related to these people. That's the work we're doing, is to stitch together all this publicly available information. And as my colleague Abby will explain, and then we're connecting it to publicly available records after emancipation, so that families today who previously could only, if they even did any genealogical research in their family, they would hit a brick wall at 1870.
Because you've been sold. And sometimes, right. I mean, Abby, you're the research director. Sometimes our names were changed. I know that in my family, the name that my great-grandmother had I know the slave owner was from Virginia. You know, we have records back to the 1800s, and the only reason we have that is because I did a television show. They brought in part of a slave ship. I tried to go into it, could not go into it. I couldn't go into it. It had shackles in it, and the energy of that place, I barely got in and went, can't do it. I couldn't do it. And so they were kind enough, Fraser Museum was kind enough to pay for these people to go back. And we had so much wrong. We thought we knew what we were talking about. We didn't know. And they were able to find it. But you hit a brick wall. That's because right. Names are changed. Babies are sold from mothers. This is hard work.
Yes. It's very hard work, and that's one of the biggest benefits that we have thanks to the Lemons database, is the ability to go back and recreate these family groups from documents like wills and trusts, and to follow these families into the future and even work backwards if possible.
It's crazy.
Now, what's really amazing is that we can work, because almost all the settlers in Kentucky came from two places, Maryland and Virginia.
Say Virginia. Ours was Virginia.
We can go backwards in these families, especially the prominent families who enslaved a lot of people, and you go backwards through these wills and estate inventories back to the 1600s, back to when these white families came to this country, and you can start to see the first generation of enslaved people who come over from Africa, because they start showing up in these wills. And then you can, so for instance, I've done research into this one super prominent family here, well, a couple of them, the Speed family.
I was thinking Speed, but I didn't say
I'm working on it right now, as a matter of fact. And we can go back to the late 1600s, early 1700s and find these wills, and you just can follow forward. I haven't done all this work. Other people before me have done a lot of this work at the Filson and elsewhere, where you can clearly see matrilineally, right? You'll find this woman and her children, then the female children have children, and then their grandchildren have children, and you can follow these families forward. And so we've been able to, I think, 6 generations of enslaved people that were enslaved by the Speed families, just because these white families kept meticulous records because of these wills.
There was a woman I did a story on last year, African-American woman, who she kept records. She kept a diary. She was owned by the Speeds. Somehow in there, she got a home from them.
Yes.
And I've been trying to find out, did they give it to her or did they make her buy it? And then she ended up working downtown, and I can't remember who. I'd have to go back and look at my story. But all of that is just unbelievable to me. And when you said it started off as a radio show, trying to make people understand what all of this meant politically and financially, I just wonder how that went, because I know some folks aren't ready to hear it. Take it, listen to it.
And may I just say, if your viewers go to our website at reckoninginc.org, they can click on the podcast link and hear that entire series, which is available, and they can learn this history.
All right. So what are you asking or needing from us? How can we join you? What can we do?
So we're doing a series of events in the next couple of weeks that people can actually come out and go to. So we're doing an event with the Fraser History Museum next Wednesday, the 8th at 6 o'clock. And we're actually going to have Mr. Lemons there answering the question that you posed. How on earth did a man like him, by the way,
How on earth? Why on earth?
Yes,
what?
And it's a great story. It's a fantastic story about how he got to do this, and why he has been continuing to do it and is continuing to do it right now. And we have this great symbiotic relationship with him, where we feed him documents that we find, and then he pours through them and finds all of the enslaved people's names, and he puts them together and figures out how how everybody's related, and then people like Abby take that material and follow it forward and build family trees out of them to as close to the present day as possible.
Right. All right, and then you have something on February 11th at St. Stephen?
No, on the 11th, we're at the Kentucky African American Heritage Center for African American Heritage.
Okay.
And that's that's at 2 o'clock, and it's a genealogy workshop. So it doesn't matter what you know about your family. If you're African American and want help in trying to start a family tree or continue a family tree that you've already started, one of our colleagues, Denise Payton, who's been a genealogist for over 25 years, will present tools that you can use to do that. And then a couple of weeks later, on the 25th, we're going to be at St. Stephen doing the same workshop from noon to 2 o'clock. So if you don't get a chance to do the one on the 11th, you can do the one on the 25th.
All right, and we can find all of this on your website?
On our website, reckoninginc.org. Can
I say to both of you, thank you? And I appreciate the strength you have to do this work. Dan and Abby, I do, because I just sit in my chair, I think, and cry all day.